Hey, it's a Saturday. I am taking a resetty weekend after my parents and my brother had been here all week. And oh my god, I'm smiling. It's so nice to be able to shower and go to the toilet and eat whenever and whatever you want. How I experience change has become more in focus, shall we say, since learning I'm autistic, and having visitors stay is a vibe, even for neurotypical people. Just to speak to my level of internal disruption at change, my psychologist got a new haircut, which was it was a cut and a dyeing situation, and he looks great. He looks more like himself. He should follow his heart and definitely do that. But for someone who already arrives to therapy a bit shut down, it was like and I'm just like, how do I even word this? So I end up saying like, even if I don't want to be, I find changes to people's appearance really jarring. But you look great. He's like, yeah, I was gonna mention it in the email I sent you, but I've never done that before, so I chickened out. He's like, yeah, I might do that next time. I was like, yeah, cool. It's very bizarre and leads to a lot of gaslighting, I think, when you're so aware of how you are autistic. You don't want to be perceived as rude, but you also need to like not mask to the point that you're just facing the detrimental mental health and health consequences. So you need to kind of communicate, and communicating's hard, and yeah, it's a bit of a tricky mess to navigate. February has been a little brutal, but emotional roller coaster, and I've come out the other side, so that's great. That job I mentioned in the last video, I did end up getting an interview for it, even though they said it started at the end of January. I got a call on a Tuesday saying, are you available for an interview on the Thursday, which I don't think is an ethical amount of time, especially when you're like, it's not even on your radar. Long story short, caused us so much anxiety and internal physical digestive symptoms and like loss of appetite. But somehow I managed to get the job, but through the interview process, which had 4 panelists, all like sitting across a table, an autistic person's dream, through the process of getting the questions and talking with them, it wasn't really as advertised. Very much a job which you would be doing, running the whole program with next to no support. Every fibre of my being is thinking this would lead to burnout, so I ended up getting the job but turning it down. And there are a million feelings which go along with that, some of which are, how dare you turn down a job in this economy? Well, like, well, we're back to square one. Great. A lot of disillusionment and frustration with the recruitment interviewing process, which I've known is not built with neurodivergent people in mind, but that was a deep dive illustration of that, and feeling a bit like I did something wrong even though I didn't. Maybe the biggest thing is like the whiplash that comes with a misalignment of experiences, where I felt so crap internally, not full of any good feelings, yet they seemed to like it. And then I also got the news a couple of days ago that I didn't get a grant that I applied for a book length work, which I thought I had a pretty good chance at, which, I mean, these things are like winning the lottery. It's not exactly unexpected, but you still really hold on to hope. Also, like, an imagined way your year would pan out, and it's a bit sad that like you won't be growing in the way that would have facilitated. Not to just put the cherry on top, but the freelance environment at the moment, I'm so grateful for the regularish Frankie gig and the relationship I have with Frankie magazine, but everywhere else I think is just so saturated. Maybe people are trying all the possible streams of income. Places aren't accepting pictures or just so inundated. It's very hard to get on people's radars, which has made me think I should just start my own, not media company, but like way of making my writing public and actually just being able to write the ideas so it can just be out there, and there's not this like cycle of, because I'm a bottom-up thinker, I pretty much write a draft of a piece before formulating a pitch and submitting that. Some sort of newsletter writing excuse, maybe called like to be held without being touched, as like a hopefully make you feel less alone, neurodivergent nod, safe space of ideas around mental health, food, living in a world designed for neurotypical minds and able bodies. I guess the vibe of the moment is a crossroad, which direction to go without looking like an idiot. But speaking of growth and like general, damn, I'm doing okay. I am impressed with how like I am extremely bummed about the grant and just a bit like about the job, but I have a very interesting year last year to not compare but like reflect on compared to this one, and I am so much more mentally maybe resilient, not to like be mean to past self, but just in such a better place that if I'm in a really low mood can bounce back so much quicker. I was describing to a friend that maybe when you're not doing well that stays a reality for you, but your ability to experience joy and happiness and like feeling more like yourself, like in terms of healing, it becomes the part which heals and expands. Like I don't think last year I experienced, I don't know if anyone else can, I read an article on it and it was a universal experience. They said that that sort of like joy or excitement you get at night time before you go to bed, like you go to bed, your head on the pillow, feeling like a buzz. I used to get that a lot as a teen or when like dreaming up HBOT cookbook stuff. Going to sleep last year was not the vibe. And now I get so many more of those days, which is so lovely. And just being able to feel like things are really beautiful, being able to appreciate things, like feel joy and appreciation and gratitude, where it feels like warm and heavy in a good way, is back, and I love that obviously. Getting a thrill from little joys, like on Saturdays I do slightly relish the like fruit salad of teeny tiny domestic things that you've like maybe been putting off throughout the week because you're not maybe working your other job. You have fresh energy to tackle them all. And I'm also realizing for someone who's had a morning routine and a nighttime routine, not like rigidly YouTube vibe, but incidentally neurodivergently their whole life, I could do with leaning on established routines or like ways of coping during the middle of the day a bit more. And I'm getting much better at reading my internal cues and like managing bodily states. The thing which comes up quite readily if I'm physically exhausted or essentially overwhelmed is struggling with executive functioning, which is like the ability to start a task or task switch. And I know if that's dwindling, I know I need to push a lot of the things aside and just do the one thing, which is usually a creative thing, which I've been wanting to do for ages but have not prioritized and I never have the energy for. The thing with, I think, autism and likely ADHD, which I have an assessment date for now in a couple of months, is the love of routine but need for spontaneity, but also anxiety around spontaneity, making it hard to get that which you need to sort of fill your cup. And I think for me it's quite linked to my creativity, so all to say it's a balancing act and I'm learning a lot and have a lot of growth to show in that domain, which I think some of you picked up in the last video. I'm gonna wash Merlin now and it's very cute, so I'll try and film some. Good boy. Good boy. Those were 5-spice animal fries, inspired by animal fries and this Hetty McKinnon tofu coriander 5-spice ball recipe into Asia with Love, which I thought might marry together with the cheese and the mayo, because the dipping sauce with the balls is reminiscent of that, and it was really good. I love when my brain works like that because it used to all the time. I got lucky at the library the other day, and in the new release section was Molly Baz's More is More cookbook. It takes a bit for me to be like, oh yeah, wow, I would cook from that, like I would cook a lot of things from that. I take major issue with the typesetting and how they've laid out the ingredients list. It's all like produce, dairy, pantry, not grouped by the elements in the dish, which I just find, I mean, maybe this makes more sense, but I feel when people write cookbooks with their own way of laying things out just to make it their way of laying things out, it just kind of creates an accessibility barrier, because people learn to cook in like ingredient method kind of ways. It's like learning a new language a little bit. And I'm not a fan of this New York Times vibe of super glossy, artificially lit photographs. Like, can we actually read the word on the page? Anyway, the recipes are a slay, and I will definitely try to veganize some of them. It's more how she works with flavor, which is like, dang, that sounds so good. Anyway, nice to be back, and I apologize again for the crappy quality, but it was just what felt attainable for the meanwhile. Thank you for watching.